Hello and welcome to the Providence College Podcast. I'm your host, Liz Kay, and I'm joined by producer Chris Judge of the class of 2005. Here at the Providence College Podcast, we bring you interesting stories from the Fryer family. This week, we're speaking with two management majors, Chloe Jensen from Essex Junction, Vermont, and Jack Oricoli from Southport, Connecticut. Chloe and Jack are two of the 18 students enrolled in an organizational theory course taught by Tom King. Their section produced a video called Colleges Against COVID. We're recorded before Easter, and it's received more than 26,000 views on Instagram alone. Chloe and Jack, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having
Thanks
us.
for having us.
So can you tell us a little bit about organizational theory in the first place? What's the class usually like?
Yeah, so organizational theory right off the bat is just different from any other business class I've taken here at Providence. Especially with Tom King, it's a very, you co-create the class with him. So everything from assessment to coming up with your own projects and challenges, and it really just tests you as a management student, especially later in your academic career at Providence. But we've created our own challenges throughout the course, and now we're just really dealing with how we're supposed to assess ourselves towards the end of the semester.
Yeah, I think Jacko and I both had Tom as our Management 101 teacher, and that class was a lot more about like understanding the fundamental process and strategies behind being an effective manager. And then org theory, I would say, is focused more on how, as an organization, we cannot just focus on like our individual success as a manager, but more of how we can create a functioning organization as a whole, where we're all focused on being a cohesive unit. So planning events and working together as a group is the main focus of the goal of the course usually.
So Tom King has taught this course for many years. What's the usual project that those sections would tackle?
So I think that originally we went into the class expecting to create fundraisers. A lot of the class is focused on helping out the local Providence community. We teamed up with two different Providence based charities, and our plan was to begin organizing events that we could get the community engaged in that would then create a monetary sort of reward for these organizations we were working with. So we were just in the beginning process of doing that before spring break, just like ironing out the details. And then obviously with the news of moving to online and not being able to have events of like large groups of people or gatherings like that, and we would all be scattered across the country, we realized that we had to make a major organizational shift in like what the objectives of the class would be.
So how did you go about doing that? You mentioned in the first place that Tom King really involves the students in his class in structuring the class in the first place. So how did you make the change?
Right. So he really just wants us to use him as a resource. He is not a very authoritative figure throughout the whole process and throughout the whole course. In terms of colleges against COVID-19, we think that it came about very organically and naturally, and the turnaround was very quick as well. As Chloe was just mentioning, once we moved and transitioned to these online classes, we were really, the main thing to focus on, the big problem at hand, obviously, is coronavirus, and we wanted to do something that would specifically focus on that. And so the turnaround for that, as I mentioned, was very quick, and we were able to produce that video and gather all our thoughts and ideas within a matter of, I believe, 2 or 3 days. And it was really, that was our organization coming together and really being a cohesive unit and working together.
Yeah, I think we decided that there was something going on that was impacting all of us, and it wouldn't do us service to try to focus on anything other than coronavirus at the time. In specific, speaking out to college students our age, we were all going through a lot of different emotions at the time, struggling with the fact that we were off campus, not together, and also struggling with like watching the news and seeing our generation get put under blast for disregarding the rules and not taking it seriously enough. And we all felt angry about that. We were all sad about leaving campus, and we were all trying to find our footing with this new online classes. So, like Jack said, it came out so organically, I think, because we were so passionate about this idea since it was impacting us all so directly.
Could you tell us about the message of the video and why was it such an important message for people to hear, and who was your audience? Who were you hoping would really hear it?
So I think the message behind our video was super important to us because it came from college students and it was for college students, as opposed to it being from your parents or other adults in your world telling you that this is a problem and the only way to fix it is to actually follow the rules and follow these guidelines that um, the professionals are setting for us. And so we wanted to really put it out there that there are people taking responsibility and taking action our age and our age demographic, whether it be 18 through 21, the college students who are being proactive and taking precautions and really just you know putting it in their minds that they like actually can do something about it.
I also think that a lot of the adults and professionals who are advising our age group to stay inside and practice social distancing and things like that, we're also forgetting the important factor that college students were in the midst of pretty emotional transition times and also going through their own grieving process of like losing, for example, their graduation, the end of their semester. For a lot of kids, their safe place like on campus, which is where they're able to best function as a student. And so we wanted to make sure that we created a video where college students felt that their concerns and feelings of sadness or grief weren't completely disregarded, and we understood them and we saw them, but that it was also important for us to realize how serious of an issue this was beyond just our own personal sphere.
So, what's the response been like? I'm curious about other collaborations and things that you've been doing.
I believe that the response has been pretty positive. We've had a lot of people come up to us, and say that they're proud of what we're doing. The fact that, we're the age that we are and we're taking initiative to kind of put this message out there. Um, and just the response that we've gotten in terms of other people spreading our message and spreading the same message, whether it be like my alma mater, my high school, retweeting or reposting something, or just getting response from news outlets and media outlets in that sense. So I think the response has been pretty positive overall.
Yeah, I think a big milestone for us also was in the beginning of class, we all read a book called The Third Door, and we actually reached out to the author of that book. Almost all of us did, I think. His whole book was outlining the best ways to learn what top managers are doing or the most successful people in business are doing. And for him, that involved a long journey of reaching out to people he wasn't sure would respond in hopes of getting a conversation with them. So we decided to employ the same tactics when reaching out to him, hoping he would be understanding of the fact that we were coming from a similar place and that we were trying to make an impact. And one like late at night after we had been working on this for hours, we checked our Twitter account and saw that he had responded and congratulated us on our hard work and then liked our video online as well. So that was a really great moment. One of my classmates said it really brought us full circle. Like it felt like we started from the beginning in this place of learning, and then our hard works felt like it paid off when we got that acknowledgement from him.
That's really fantastic. So, just like, cherry on the top, right? Because not only were you getting thousands and thousands of retweets, uh, but to be acknowledged by someone for using his technique, that's really fantastic. Um, how has your project evolved since you released that first video? What are you working on now?
That was definitely a big question that was proposed to us after this first video. We I think decided, like we had no idea what our next steps were going to be after that. And so I think after that, Chloe, that's when we decided that we were going to break up into 3 different teams amongst our 18 selves. And those 3 teams were the storytelling team. We had a mental health group, which would really focus on, how COVID-19 is really affecting the mental health status of college kids and also just people around the world. And then our last group is our social media group, who would continue to really push our message out there. And that really kind of relayed itself right into this latest video that we just put out, which we collaborated with the Personal Counseling Center at Providence and put out a video on mental health.
I think, like Jack was saying in the video, there was a clear way for everyone in the class to contribute. There was a clear way for everyone to have an impact. And then after we got the great response from the video, we were kind of in a space where we were wondering where we went from there. We had obviously just had a really successful video released, and then we had still a good portion of the semester left to navigate how the course would go. And so we decided that by dividing into these separate teams, each with kind of a separate part that we all had the same overall goal of supporting our colleges against COVID-19, but by breaking it out into three different teams, we made sure that no one felt like they weren't still having that same level of impact or involvement in our project. So it's been great to see us take it into different directions, but still we meet back every Tuesday and Thursday as a whole organization to talk about our next steps, how we're doing, things like that.
So you mentioned the three different groups. What's the storytelling group working on?
So I'm part of the storytelling group, and that's really from a place of we decided that yes, the impact we made in the video was really great for coronavirus and for college students, but we wanted to be able to have a larger impact than just that video, and one that future classes and college students could use as a resource. And so because of the challenges we faced and like the accomplishments we've had, we wanted this to be recorded in a way that we could look back on in the future, and also that Tom could use or any teachers could use when helping other classes in the future. So we've been in the process of writing down from memory all the different ways that we have evolved as an organization, what we think helped for us, what challenges we've overcome, and overall, like what contributed to our success this semester. And so we asked everyone in the class to write a forum post that basically said our strengths as an organization, our weaknesses, and how this has had a personal impact on us and also our inspiration and motivation behind working on it. And so we've been compiling everyone's answers, and it's been a really great process to be a part of. I'm really excited for that to be like a legacy that we can pass on almost as a way for myself to remember the way that this class was conducted and carry that with me.
I'm curious how you two feel you've grown yourselves through your involvement in this um, course project and just in general through what everyone is going through right now.
Well, I think for myself personally, it comes back and starts in Management 101, which I took freshman year, because seeing myself evolve and being able to think back about the student that I was freshman year compared to now, I never would have thought that I would even be a part of something this big. And with these 17, 18 other students who are just so passionate about something, it's really a crazy feeling and a kind of a crazy experience and process thus far. Um,
Yeah, I feel like this has definitely been a struggle, the past couple of months of like switching over to online classes, like moving back home. And I know it's been like a lot of things were lost, but it's felt like this group has almost been like a constant for me throughout it all. Like I've felt like our class has grown more connected than ever. And a lot of that's because of the fact that Tom has us look at this class not just as a class, but as an organization. We all rely on one another. We know that we're in this together, and it's been nice to feel like there's a group of 18 other students who are going through the same thing as me, but are also motivated to make an impact in this time.
So it sounds like organizational theory is a pretty unique experience in a normal situation, and it's become even more special and unique now. How is your transition to online learning gone overall in your other classes as well? And what are you hearing from your friends?
I think the transition so far has been better than anticipated. Particularly in Tom's class, I don't notice that much of a decrease in our like participation or discussion. I do think that's one of the things I'm missing the most in my other classes though is it is a lot easier to just like sit behind the screen, I think, and not be as engaged or willing to participate and start one of the like class discussions that are usually the best part of classes for me. So I felt kind of like a disconnect in my other classes that I usually felt like I had. But as far as technical problems and, like, the ease in staying organized, that's been better than anticipated for me.
yeah, I agree completely with what Chloe just mentioned. I also just really have to commend my professors as well, because they've been very understanding and have expressed their like concerns, and have been the communication is just there. It's there with them, and they're just very understanding of the transition and how difficult it can be, but also the the impact on emotion that it does have on students as well. So I do have to commend them for that. They've been very understanding.
I completely agree. I think that the professors, I've appreciated how much work they've put into trying to make this transition as seamless for us as possible. And I think it works both ways. Like we're trying our best to make this work, and I can sense that they are as well.
I read a great tweet the other day that said something along the lines of, we're not working from home or going to college from home. We're at home during a crisis trying to work or go to college. So I can't help but feel that I hope your faculty know that you appreciate what they've been putting into it, and I think we all wish that we could go back to normal, but this is the new normal, right? Chloe and Jack, thank you so much for your participation in this podcast. It was great chatting with you.
Yeah, thank you. It was great to talk to you.
Well, thank you for having us.
Subscribe to the Providence College podcast in all the usual places, including Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Google Play, Spotify, and YouTube. If you like what you hear, please review and share with others. Thanks for listening, and go Friars.